Hey, deal makers, welcome to the show where it's all about financial freedom with real estate. Let's do this. Today, we're diving into the real differences between single family and multifamily investing and why making the switch might be a smart move for your financial freedom. But our guest, Phil Miller, has done both. In fact, he's done a lot of both, and he's kind of breaking down what works, what doesn't, and how to scale smarter. Even though it took him a long time to scale, he was very careful. He spent a lot of time with single family, spent a lot of time then getting in a small multifamily before actually raising capital. And so you can kind of see the pros and cons of different kinds of approaches. And at the end of the day, you can get the financial freedom with real estate, but some strategies will work faster than others, as we'll see from this call. I think you're going to really resonate with Phil, maybe even your own journey where you've done maybe a rental or two or flips, and you're kind of struggling to scale a little bit, and you're wondering how can I do that. And it took Phil up to 20 houses or so to kind of figure out, oh my gosh, I can't scale. It took for me 36 flips until I figured out I couldn't scale anymore. Certainly tried. And so both of us then finally pivoted onto multifamily, having overcome a lot of limiting and false beliefs about what that means. And we'll talk about that today. And like I said, maybe you'll recognize your own journey in that as well. And hopefully you'll be inspired by making better decisions. Phil's an interesting guy. He's a real estate investor. He's been investing since, gosh, 2011. And he today has acquired, managed over 430 units across 40 transactions. He was used to being an executive manager, a Fortune 150 company, holds an engineering degree from Ohio State, MBA from the University of Dayton, highly educated. And his expertise includes acquisition, sales, underwriting, business strategy, everything, all the way from single family rentals, specifically Burr method value add, but also some self storage, mobile home parks, and of course, multifamily as well. And let's get into the conversation here with Phil. I think we're really going to enjoy this. So, a lot of people want to go big, right? But they're held back by a variety of limiting beliefs or false beliefs, even. What were some of yours that you were like, well, I'm not sure, or were you pretty much certain you could pull off a 40 plus unit acquisition?
Are you talking specifically about the first multifamily or just in general?
Just in general, right? I mean, in general, you're talking about, hey, I think we need to go multifamily, and then she or you're like, oh, wait a minute, but hold on a sec, how do we do this thing? I don't think that's possible. Did you have any kind of limiting beliefs or anything between your ears where you had to overcome that before you actually moved ahead with it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first, I would say that action creates confidence. So I did have more and more confidence in how real estate worked and how multifamily would work when we were making this transition. But, our ability to select the right property management company. Do I know how to do that? Do I know how to run multifamily? No. So bring it. So I mitigated those risks. But I really, yeah, my mind looking back probably slowed me down in a lot of different ways because of the lack of knowledge, lack of confidence in what we were doing specifically, trying to solve problems that didn't yet exist as I talked about. So for sure there were a lot of limiting beliefs that I was putting on ourselves that held us back. But at the end of the day, I learned so much through those and I still have those today. We all do. Um, but I have a different, I think, perspective and relationship with those where it's like if I have limiting beliefs, I'm more prone now to really understand and pursue those and I'll say conquer those than I was at the time. I didn't even know what the word limiting beliefs at the time probably meant. So there were plenty of them for sure.
So right now, you know you have limiting beliefs and trying to articulate those so that you can address them head on. Is that how you're dealing with limiting beliefs today?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm thinking about something enough, that means it's on my mind a lot, and I'm trying to make sure I understand is it aligned with my values and my purpose and whatnot. But if it's on my mind a lot, I need to move in that direction. And the big thing I think about now is I don't have to have my biggest purpose all solved in every single step and every single thing. I just know I need to I think I know what it is, but I do know I'm going to move in that direction because I'll get clarity. There's fog, and as I walk through the fog, I'll get more and more clarity as to the direction I need to go next.
All right. Do you have any kind of limiting belief that you're kind of struggling with right now?
Um, I would say the biggest thing is similarly like real estate. So real estate has given us a platform and an audience to hopefully influence and have an impact, not just in help them with real estate, but in other ways. But my limiting belief is probably Have I earned the right to have that platform? What will people think of me? So is that my ego getting in the way of what will they think of me? And am I being humble, honestly? So I would say I worry about what other people might think of me. But if I really go back to my core and as a man of faith, my identity is tied to that less than it is to what other people think of me. So that's how I get through that. But I know I just need to keep moving in that direction and testing myself because that's also what leads to growth for me.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, so back to that first deal. You must have raised some kind of money. How did you guys come up with the equity? And you mentioned you had two or three other partners. You brought in someone more experienced. How did you overcome? Because I hear a lot of people, I'm like, I'm going to need a lot of money. I don't have all that money, and I've never raised money before. I don't want to beg my friends and family for money. How did you overcome the capital part of this?
Yeah, so we didn't raise capital on that deal, and we didn't raise capital, I think, for probably our first 7 or 8 years. In hindsight, that probably maybe slowed us down. But the first deal, I mean, it was Michael, it was 48 units. It wasn't a great town. There was probably mistakes. We bought it was in contract for $680,000. I don't even know what that is, 16 a door. We put
Wow.
120K into it, but we were able to bring the down payment the bank only required us to bring 25% down, funded the whole capital plan. So we bought that and sold it 13 months later in 1031. We did a tick, separated out in 1031 into a 72 unit, just my business partner and I. And then off to the side, my one business partner and I also bought a 16 unit, a smaller one that we had to bring 45, I want to say 45K down or maybe 90K total, 45 a piece. And we were able to fund that. We did do we were starting to sell some single family. Our strategy after the first one was clear because the light bulb of, oh, this is how value add works, which is a major, major, major game changer for multifamily. I would say the single biggest thing that resonated or clicked with us. So because of that, we started to sell some single family homes that we had and
Mhm.
1031 into the multifamily or cash out and do cost segs, different tax strategies to convert our single families to multifamily.
Yeah, that's interesting. A light bulb went off. So at one point, did you start raising money then? What was happening when you're like, all right, let's get into this thing?
Yeah, I mean, really in 2021, I left my W-2. 2022, I was really trying to figure out, okay, what direction, what do I want to do? I started investing in some passive deals at that time. Talk about a good time to invest in passive deals, right, Michael? 2022, 2023. Overall, they're
Uh,
going pretty good. We stuck to fixed debt and, we have plenty of non-distributions and some other stuff, but we learned a lot through that process. After I did that, I was like, man, I can do this. We can have control. We have the knowledge. I can give investors really good returns that don't even have exposure to this in our area. So that's when I said, okay, I want to do this. So our first deal that we did with private capital wasn't until early in 2024, actually. So we had done real estate meetings, just trying to do the right things. We were able to raise the capital relatively easy in hindsight. But it wasn't until 2024, 7 years in. I told you, Michael, I am a
you
slow,
are a slow learner,
slow
folks.
learner.
Oh
Seven
my
years
God.
in, we started doing that.
You get there eventually. But now, looking back on your career, when you say you're a slow learner, we said that tongue in cheek a little bit. But if you could speak to your younger self, what would you tell yourself? Like when would you speak to yourself, and what would you say?
Yeah, I think people. First of all, I'll say this to before I get into that answer is people say like, well, what do you regret? I think things happen for a reason. I don't regret it. There's probably lessons I need to learn that if I did it faster in a different way, maybe I wouldn't have learned those lessons, or it could have been a disaster. Who knows what, right? So I don't really. I mean, I don't regret things necessarily, especially from a business perspective. But I'll say that each time, like 2011, like, hey, just go buy one. The risk of a single family, what's going to happen? You have a good job, like you'll be fine. Like go a little bit faster. And again, I don't regret it. But if I would have pulled everything ahead 2 years, that's my financial path would have been 2 years ahead. That could have a big impact. It is what it is. No big deal. I would have started multifamily faster. I think single family doing one, I don't know if this is against the rules for this podcast, Michael, but doing one or doing a duplex first isn't a horrible thing. You can learn from that. Just don't stay there very long, right? If you do one, go to a 4 unit and go to an 8. And I don't think, I mean, if you to do one to go to a 100 unit with private capital without the right support staff, network, association, coaching, I think would be a very risky move. Now, if you do that and you have the right team around you to support you, that's a different story. But if you're on your own doing it, a single to a 4 unit to a 16, maybe to a 48 and then you can get to the hundreds. But I would have went to that faster. Hindsight's 2020, but multifamily just brings a whole nother level of value add, scalability, time versus money benefits that I didn't recognize until, well into it.
Yeah, you and me both. What about raising capital? Would you have raised capital sooner?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I would have. I think I would have. I mean, what's nice is those properties we bought from 17 to 21. I mean, I own 50% of those. So that certainly is nice. But I'll also say that, yeah, I think, 2019, 2020 for sure, there could have been an opportunity to really raise capital. But in hindsight, it's hard for me to go back then. And I think I would have structured those deals where they would have been conservative and safe, especially for what we bought. So yeah, I don't regret it, and I'm in a financial position now that I'm very, very grateful and appreciative and thankful for. Um, but I definitely could have accelerated things by raising capital. Yes.
Yeah, these are all lessons that we learn. I agree. I don't regret anything, perhaps, but simply, I know one of the things I did not do well that didn't really surround myself with experienced people. You
Yeah,
know,
I would say that.
engineer. I'm so smart, Phil. I can figure things out on my own. I really don't need someone to help me with
Yeah.
this thing. Man, gosh, I lost so much time and so much money trying to do that thing. It's wild.
Yeah, look, I'm working on an acronym and then like a matrix and writing a book and stuff, but I think there's 5 steps for everybody for success. And you hit on a lot of them, but you got to get clear on what you want, your purpose, okay? So I'm going to give you the acronym. It's going to be PEACE, okay? Purpose, educate yourself, association. And Michael, to your point on association, I missed it. I wasn't focused on that. I wasn't reaching out. I wasn't getting coaching. I wasn't getting mentorship. So all those things, purpose, education, association, lead to action, lead to courage, right? So the C is courage. And when you started to have courage and take action, that's when you can be an example to others and lead others and help others out. So the acronym is PEACE, purpose, education, association, courage, and example. And if you do those things, from a financial perspective in an area of life, I think you can have peace. Now, I'm not saying you have peace in your whole life. That's a bigger discussion. You have to have alignment of all your priorities. Probably spirituality has to be first. So there's some other things overall, but those 5 things I think are key principles for success that anyone should focus on. And if they do those, including the association, it'll give you the courage to act, and you'll accelerate. You'll accelerate your real estate or financial or business timeline, whatever that is.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's a great book because I agree. You can do anything in life if you follow those principles. You got to be clear, you got to have a purpose, and you got to educate yourself, build a team around you, take action that gives you confidence, and then you can be an example. I
I
love it.
pre- I love it. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so parting advice to someone who has maybe done some single family house investing and they're thinking about transitioning to multifamily, or maybe even the kind of person who's maybe learning from this podcast and they're like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll skip the whole single family house investing thing. Like, what's your advice on getting into the business? It could be peace. How should someone break into the business?
Yeah, I would say, and I'll say this from the context of like, maybe procrastinating or worried about taking the action is if you're clear on what you want, you're educating yourself, you're associating and networking with others, take the action, like really have the courage to take the action, go do it. And like, don't go into it with what might happen to me only from a negative perspective. Recognize that you can't connect the dots forward, right? So Steve Jobs has a great quote, but you can't connect the dots forward. We can all look back, we can all tell our story, and we can connect the dots backwards. But that next step isn't the final step. So move in that direction, and there's going to be zigs and zags and misdirections and all kinds of things that get you to where you want to go. And that might be the next step is a failure, but you're going to learn so much from that that will propel you to a different direction or the right next step after that. So I would just say, really, I'm talking to my younger self here because of the engineer in me, but have the courage. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're working with Michael in any way, like you know what you need to do. So it's time to go do that, right? And do it smart, do it wise, understand the risk with it, but have the courage to really take action. And you can't connect the dots forward, just move in that direction and trust that it'll work out for you.
Phil, it's amazing. Thanks for bringing it today. How can people connect with you, find out more about what you're doing?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Michael. I'm on social media. LinkedIn is probably the best place to find me. Otherwise, our website, www.moellerre.com. We also have a podcast, the Moeller Real Estate and Business Podcast. Michael was a guest, so if you listen to it, listen to that episode first to hear the truth about Michael. He told us some things on that podcast that you never heard before. We dissected him in many different ways. I'm trying to
Oh,
figure out who you're. I'm just kidding, but those are the
yeah,
places they can go to.
that's awesome. Thanks. Great hanging out with you, Phil.
Michael, we'll talk soon. Great seeing you.